It was a day like any other, as I went about my routine, tidying up the house. Little did I know that my perception of a typical marriage was about to be disrupted by the unexpected arrival of my stepson and his friend. Quiet enveloped the surroundings. As I leaned down to clean the large white couches, the door burst open with a sudden force. I startled for a moment, the sound of the vacuum still echoing in my ears, preventing me from immediately discerning who had entered. As I turned my head, my gaze fell upon my stepson Adrian and his friend, a dark-skinned, athletic figure, poised in the doorway. Adrian, my stepson at the tender age of 19, bore no resemblance to his father whatsoever. In stark contrast to his father's stern demeanor, Adrian's youthful visage was perpetually adorned with a hint of mischief. His hair was a deep shade of brown, and his skin bore a sun-kissed glow, as if it had been touched by the warmth of summer. His companion mirrored this sentiment, sporting a slightly disheveled appearance yet radiating the effortless spirit that youth so often embodies. "Mother?" Adrian's voice carried a hint of surprise, yet it was imbued with a gentle smile. "What brings you here at this hour?" Adrian's voice jolted me from my reverie, and before I knew it, I had switched off the vacuum and risen to my feet. The strap of my tank top had gracefully slipped from my shoulder, and as I became aware of it, I swiftly endeavored to reposition it. Yet, as his friend's eyes fell upon me, a wave of embarrassment washed over me unexpectedly. My cheeks felt aflame. "I was merely tidying up," I replied, attempting to mask the astonishment in my tone. "What brings you all here at such an early hour? Shouldn't you be at school right now?" Adrian swept his fingers through his hair, a light laugh escaping his lips. "We set off early today, eager to spend some time with Tom. Yet, I never anticipated encountering you in this manner." Tom, a friend of Adrian's, took a small step forward, offering me a subtle smile. As his gaze swept over me, a sense of unease washed over me. Yet, concurrently, that gaze enveloped me in an odd sense of intrigue. Adrian's presence beside him exuded a certain innocence, yet the intensity of Tom's gaze, laden with unspoken thoughts, stirred a sense of discomfort within me. Adrian shrugged, his voice laced with a nonchalant air, as if the matter held no weight at all. "I knew I'd find you cleaning when I got home, but I didn't expect you to look this good," he said, his eyes sparkling with a playful gleam. Tom, as he removed his shoes, chimed in with a look of astonishment and a smile. "Adrian, is it true that your mother is 42 years old?" he inquired, lifting his brows in curiosity. In the fleeting hush, a soft chuckle escaped Adrian's lips. "Indeed, Tom. Why, does she appear aged in your eyes?" Tom's gaze swept over me before he responded swiftly. "Absolutely not. Your youthful appearance is truly captivating and undeniably alluring." His voice resonated with a genuine and gentle warmth. In that instant, I became acutely aware of the delicate material of my top and the leggings that highlighted the contours of my figure. With a subtle, bashful shrug of my shoulder, I murmured my thanks, an involuntary smile blossoming on my lips. Adrian and Tom made their way to the living room, where they powered up the PlayStation, sinking into the couch as they immersed themselves in the game. This presented itself as a chance to organize the remainder of the living room. I took hold of my dust rag and began to tidy up the area surrounding the television. As I meticulously wiped the edges of the television, a fleeting glance from the corner of my eye revealed that Adrian and Tom were observing my every move. They both appeared to have ceased their game, silently watching me. Initially, a sense of discomfort washed over me, yet buried within was an undeniable thrill at the attention I was receiving. A sudden wave of youthfulness washed over me, igniting a sense of allure I hadn't felt in ages. Yet, refusing to linger on the matter, I gathered my composure and made my way to the kitchen. Eventually, Adrian made his way to the kitchen, feigning a desire for coffee. "Would you be able to prepare some iced coffee for us?" he inquired, his gaze untainted. In that instant, I found myself perched atop a chair, diligently scrubbing the interior of the kitchen cabinets, my body leaning forward in focused concentration. I glanced upward and replied, "Certainly, I shall attend to it immediately. Yet, I found myself unable to ignore the way Adrian's eyes seemed to linger on me. The profound intensity in his gaze sent a thrill through my heart, if only for a fleeting moment. After brewing the coffee, I made my way back to the living room. Adrian and Tom continued their engrossing game. I placed their iced coffees before them and settled into the seat beside them, a gentle warmth enveloping me in their presence. Tom, ever the conversationalist, launched into a discussion about strategies in the game, and Adrian eagerly chimed in. Yet, the sound of Tom's phone pierced the air, revealing a call from his family. "I have to go," he said, rising swiftly to his feet. Adrian offered a subtle shrug. "No worries, you'll swing by again later," he said. Once Tom departed in haste, the living room succumbed to a profound silence, leaving only Adrian and me in its stillness. The gentle hum of the game console filled the air as Adrian glanced my way, a subtle smile playing on his lips. "Today, there's a distinct energy about you," he remarked, his tone warm and undeniably attentive. In that moment, I sensed a palpable change in the atmosphere, as if the very air in the room had thickened with unspoken tension. Adrian shattered the stillness with a profound inhale, his expression adorned with a mischievous smile. "It was likely for the best that Tom departed," he remarked, his gaze fixed on mine. Unwavering for even a heartbeat. "I have longed for an opportunity to share some time alone with you ever since you became my dad's wife, yet the moment never seemed to present itself." His words took me by surprise, leaving me momentarily speechless. I became aware that my fingers were clutching my coffee mug with an intensity that felt a touch excessive. I found myself struggling to comprehend his words, or perhaps I was simply reluctant to do so. For a fleeting instant, our gazes intertwined, yet I swiftly averted my eyes. "What could possibly draw you to something like that?" I inquired, my voice laced with apprehension. Adrian offered a subtle shrug, inching a little closer on the couch. His expression transformed into one of gravity, and coupled with his assured stance, it rendered me momentarily breathless. He said it with a knowing tone, as if the truth was an unspoken bond between them, "Because I know my dad doesn't make you happy. When I gaze upon you, it feels as though you are in pursuit of something beyond the present moment. As if the recognition you merit is slipping through your fingers." My heart began to race within my chest. The sound of those words struck a chord within me, evoking a blend of humiliation and irresistible allure. I hoped Adrian wouldn't see the fluster creeping into my demeanor, yet the warmth blooming in my cheeks gave me away. "Adrian, it's unwise to express such thoughts." I succeeded in responding, my voice quivering just a bit. Yet, as I gazed at him, I could not ignore the spark of exhilaration that his taboo words kindled inside me. Adrian remained silent for a moment, his gaze fixed intently on mine. "You're right," he said, his voice lowering to a rich, resonant timbre. "Perhaps it's unwise, yet it is the truth, and I felt compelled to express it." The distance that once separated us had nearly vanished. He was so near now that I could sense his breath. He placed his coffee mug down and leaned closer to me. "This coffee is really good," he said, his voice imbued with a warmth that rendered me utterly defenseless. Then, after a moment's hesitation, he softly placed his lips against my cheek. A surge of astonishment intertwined with a comforting embrace coursed through my whole being. Motion eluded me. I did not relocate. Though I might have wished to move, the enchantment of the moment held me utterly still. Adrian remained steadfast. His gaze remained fixed on me. As his lips drew closer once more, I found myself unable to muster the will to push him away. I yielded without a fight. I returned his kiss, gentle yet profound. Time seemed to stand still. At the precipice of the unknown, my heart raced, caught in a whirlwind of trepidation and exhilarating thrill. Adrian's warmth, his proximity, and his genuine nature enveloped me in a depth of emotion I had never experienced before. Yet, beneath the surface, an inner voice whispered that this was not as it should be. As our lips drew apart, I found myself breathless, my thoughts a chaotic whirlwind. "Adrian, this is..." I started, yet the words faltered, caught in my throat. He softly interjected, stating, "I understand." His voice carried a serene strength. "Yet, I cannot conceal the depths of my emotions. I believe you harbor feelings for me as well." His words filled me with dread. Yet, they captivated me, much like an irresistible magnet. I lowered my eyes to the ground, wishing for the turmoil in my thoughts to find some semblance of order. Yet, concurrently, Adrian's presence was shattering every boundary, every rational thought I possessed. Adrian drew back a fraction, inhaling deeply. His eyes gleamed with unwavering resolve. In an instant, he regained his posture and approached once more, each step deliberate and measured. Observing each subtle gesture I executed. His hand lingered on my waist, gentle yet commanding, as if he were exploring the limits I had yet to define. In that fleeting instant, the air seemed to vanish from my lungs. My heart pounded furiously within my chest. As our gazes met once more, the weight of the moment became undeniable. Adrian drew me in ever so slightly. In that moment, his lips found mine, igniting a kiss that was deeper and more fervent than any we had shared previously. My body reacted to his warmth. As each sound and every thought in my mind gradually dissipated into nothingness. As the fog of my thoughts thickened, I surrendered to his influence. Yet, in an instant, everything transformed. The room seemed to whirl around me, casting me into a state of confusion. Before I fully grasped the moment, I found myself seated in the very attire I had worn while tidying up, on the couch where everything unfolded. My thoughts surged, grappling with the whirlwind of events that had just unfolded, scrutinizing each fleeting moment. The warmth of Adrian still clung to my skin. The tempest of feelings within me was undeniable. My thoughts whirled in a tumultuous dance. What truly transpired? To what extent did reality intertwine with illusion? And above all, when my husband returned home, would anything ever return to the way it once was? What path might lead us back to a sense of normalcy? I sprang to my feet and made my way to the shower. The scalding water bit into my skin, a futile attempt to cleanse the turmoil that enveloped my thoughts. Yet, beneath the surface, an unsettling sensation stirred within me, as if it were on the brink of breaking apart. The events replayed in my mind, an unending loop I couldn't escape. Concerning the significance of this. Concerning the cause